Yep.
Listen to what he say. You love so much. You love when love hurts. You love
So
red
much.
bottom. You love red bottom and gold that say queen. You love handbag on the waist of your jean. You
Hmm.
love French tip and trip that pay for. You love blank slip that tell you we paid more. You love a good hand whenever the card dealt. But what love got to do with it when you don't
Love
love
yourself.
yourself?
All right, welcome, y'all. This is our first episode in, I guess, a couple weeks now. But I think we got a really good show on tap for you today. These are two of the greatest lyrics that have ever been made in music history. So,
I would agree. Click like and subscribe to our page, Mirror Music 99, please. Like and subscribe to the tribe. Um, where do you want to start today? These songs are both fascinating and
mhm,
beautiful and reflective, like
yeah,
reflective of each other and
mhm,
reflective in the nature and the tone of the writing.
yeah. Um, I guess we haven't announced this yet. We're doing today's episode is about Joni Mitchell's song "Both Sides Now" and Kendrick Lamar's "Real" from Good Kid, Mad City. So it's two preeminent lyricists for sure, and song crafters too.
These are two of the better lyricists and songwriters ever. Correct.
You told me this might be a place to start. You told me that this was, if not your favorite Kendrick Lamar song, certainly one of those. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
It is. This is so I've often called Good Kid, Mad City as an album,
Hmm.
the West Coast Illmatic,
Okay.
and this song embodies that ethos more than any other record on the album, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So, what he is providing the listener is that stark portrait of reality and inner
Hmm.
city angst and the juxtapositions that make us make unenviable decisions,
Okay.
but provides a glimmer of hope as well.
Right.
That's very Illmatic like
Okay.
in terms of song structure, timeless theme,
Hmm.
and actual delivery and execution of the lyrics and the songwriting and the hook.
Hmm.
And and also too, and this is why I say it might be my favorite record. It's one of the few records where literally the words being spoken by his parents
Hmm.
are important to complete the
Yeah.
feeling
Yeah. Absolutely.
of the realness because the record's called Real.
Hmm.
Hip hop's most popular phrase is what? Keeping
Keep it
it
real.
right. And so you have one of our best lyricists and songwriters approaching what that actual definition means
Hmm.
from the scope of their inner city angst.
Right.
But it connects to everybody's inner city angst nationwide, very
Hmm.
much in the way the songs on Illmatic did. And
Okay.
so that's why I say that about Kendrick and about Good Kid, Mad City, and that's why I feel the way I do about the song Real. It
Okay.
has the timeless theme, it has the lyrics, it has the songwriting, it has the beat, it has his parents on there. Like the part
Hmm.
that always gives me chills is when his dad says, "Real is God, real
Hmm.
is being a man." Real is taking care of your motherfucking family,
Yeah.
nigga. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's
Like
right there. Yeah. I mean, yeah,
that's
that's one of those
ooh,
moments, man. Yeah.
it's one of those moments where it's like this song's different, this guy's different, the sky different on this record. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the sky not blue on this record is purple, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's one of those moments where I'm betting I mean I don't know this, but it feels like the song came from that phone conversation or that message was left on his phone or whatever. He's playing with the idea of what it means to be real. I mean, he's not just playing with the keeping it real version of that. He's playing with the idea of being real or imaginary too, like figments
Yeah.
of your imagination. He's playing with all the versions of what the word real means, both
Well,
in the inner city sense of the word, like you said, and in the
yeah.
wide world too.
I'm about to say he's challenging what the word real means in the hip hop
Hmm.
lexicon, but also in the lexicon in general.
Right.
It's like teaching micro and macroeconomics at once. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's like, no, 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 we're not separating the class today. Both of everybody is sitting in the class together today. That's what this song
Hmm.
is. You know, like
Yeah.
from the literary sense,
Right.
from a writer's discourse sense. It's like, well, no, he's addressing this, but he's addressing that too as a writer.
Hmm.
You know, that's what I mean. The sky is different on this record because it's like, yeah, he's his portrait, everything that he is that everybody lauds him for. I don't
Hmm.
think that there's a record where you find all those pieces come together like this record. You know,
Yep. Like
I
it's
think
just one of those things. I saw when it came up on my phone the first time. Like I'd listened to all of Good Kid, Mad City, but not like paid attention to individual songs like closely. And this I saw it was like 7.5 minutes, and this is the song that I don't mind being 7.5 minutes. And connecting to the stuff because you know 2 or 3 of those minutes at the end are his dad and then his mom, and like they're going having that dialogue, I guess. And you're absolutely right. The song, I mean, it does work without that, but that's a really important part of that song. And I've heard lots of parents be on songs, both hip hop and rock and roll kind of songs that feel gratuitous somehow. Like it's cool, it's fine, but it's not necessary. That had to be on there. That's part of the song.
yes, and even and this is what I mean. And there are beautiful things about the record, even if you just pay attention to the things that the parents are saying.
Yeah.
So
You could take that
when
all by itself and it would be poignant. Yeah.
let's discuss it from the nuance of who he is as an MC. And I've always
Hmm.
said this. Well, one of the most striking things about this record, once again, comes from what the mother says, the other parent. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Now we've got the words of the father, the words of the mother, when she says, "Make something that we can dance to."
I fucking
You
wrote that too.
know,
Like you and I have done this long enough now that we're hearing the same things and the same important. Yeah.
though we're from Chicago, we like to step.
Hmm.
So you're getting some original history of where his family comes
Hmm.
from
Yeah.
too. Doesn't get any realer than your origins, okay?
Right.
On the creative and MC side, Andrew, this explains his voice and his
Hmm.
multisyllabic flow.
Okay.
Because the thing about him that where he stands out in relationship to his other top-notch West Coast
Hmm.
peers is his voice and how fast the multiple syllables come out. Like Tupac doesn't rap like that, Snoop doesn't
Mm.
rap like that,
No.
Ice Cube, Too Short, E40. He
Mhm.
succinctly is different. He's only a generation removed from Chicago. That's why. Now go listen to Crucial Conflict, The
Hmm.
Brat, Twister. You know what I'm saying? A young common sense,
Right.
fast, multisyllable.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Okay. That
now
makes
his
sense. Yeah.
style. So now stylistically, because she said that on record, he makes more sense now.
Hmm.
Stylistically, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's like I always tell people. People are always like, "You're not from the South." It's like I am, but my dad's side of the family is from Ohio. I
Right.
sound like the people from Ohio, not like the people from South Carolina and North Carolina.
Right.
You feel me?
Hmm. Yeah.
But I'm from here.
Yes.
Same thing with him. Well, he don't sound like no West Coast guy.
Even
Oh,
though
he
he
only
grew
a
up there.
generation removed from
Yeah.
Chicago.
But all
Okay,
the people he would have come up around, like his parents, and like all his family that he listened to
familial
his whole life
ties.
would have been from Chicago. That
Yes.
makes sense. Yeah.
So now
He has a very
stylistically,
distinct voice. He doesn't have like a classic hip hop voice either.
no, he
Not
doesn't.
not like a KRS kind of voice, but it is. We've talked about this on the show many times before. He has a voice where you hear it and you immediately recognize it. It's immediately that's Kendrick. Like that's just one of
Now that
those
he
very
does have.
distinct things.
Now he does have that. It's a very distinct voice. You
Mhm.
know, I don't know if it's distinctly great, but it's
Right.
distinct. Right.
Right. And I mean Bob Dylan's voice is not distinctly great, but it's distinct. Like
I
it's
would I
and
would
Tom
agree.
Petty's. I mean, like there's lots of people on this side of the world that don't that have been made like lots of really famous records that don't have the Michael Bublé or Freddie Mercury voices, but they are but it's them immediately when you hear them.
Yeah,
And
Mary J. Blige. Mary
mhm,
J. Blige is no Whitney or Mariah like on doing runs, but she can sing and her voice is succinct and identifiable.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Also, this song reminded me why you and Mike too, to some level, gave Kendrick so much shit about Mr. Morale because when you're capable of this shit, then like there's nothing like that on that record. Like there's not. And I mean I've
There's
been posting.
nothing
I don't
in
know
the
if you've watched any of the
galaxy.
shorts that I've posted in the last couple of days, but like the new Dave Matthews Band album is like that. I mean, it's good, it's fine, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just when you love somebody's music and you're looking forward to something and have been looking forward, and it had been 5 years since Dave Matthews released an album too, and you're looking forward to it, you want it to be better than just fine. Like you don't want it to be, and both he and Kendrick are capable of like this, right? They're capable of this, and
Right. Okay.
I want to hear this.
So this is what I mean about the sky is different on this record. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, it's like if I know that you can make the sky purple, why the hell would I want you to give me a blue sky that everybody else gives me?
Right. There's lots of people that can do the other
And
thing.
so like Mr.
Yeah.
Morale and the Big Steppers, it's just a bunch of blue skies. It's like, oh well, everybody can do that. So what?
Again, it's
This
not
right here,
bad. It's not
this
bad.
right, it's not bad.
Not
It's just not.
it's not
It's
your
just not.
best.
I mean, this. How about this? If somebody else were to make that album, I probably wouldn't be as hard on them, but I
Right.
would still
Exactly. That was my
probably,
point. Yeah.
but I would probably still not enjoy it and say that it's a good piece of work. I'd be like, oh, solid effort from that guy. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
exactly. Exactly.
So let's just break it down to that and say that it's a solid effort.
Hmm.
Well, look at the galaxy apart that you reside in from where you started to where you are now 10
Hmm.
years later. Because if this is the type of music that you're making in 2012, and that's what you're making in 2022, that's what I call a regression, too.
Yeah.
Artistically, musically, stylistically, sonically, regression, because we
Mm.
have this is evidence that you can do, wonderful things. I immediately thought of this record after I listened to the Joni Mitchell record. He's obviously special. Then immediately the first person that I thought about pairing Joni Mitchell with was this record, this guy,
Hmm.
this song. So this is what you're capable of as a writer, as an
Yeah.
artist, as a songmaker, is to be compared or in comparative analysis with Joni Mitchell. And it's not even questioning.
Right. I
So
got when I
yeah,
listened to the reel, like to actually pay or not listen to reel, paying attention to it closely for the first time, I was like, oh yeah, this makes perfect sense. Yeah.
it's perfect sense. And so that's the level that he operates on. Wouldn't you say that's a pretty high level as a writer and an artist?
Mhm. Is the top level. Yeah.
That's the top level. That's what I'm saying. So we know that on at his peak level, oh well, he exists on the top floor.
Hmm.
So I'm not gonna. So it's like this. Once you get used to staying in suites and executive lounges
Flying
and
first
clubs,
class.
right? It's like ain't nobody going to go sit in no, maybe for an hour flight, you know what I'm saying, or two. But it's like no, if I'm flying more than like 90 minutes, it's like no, I got used to sitting in a certain seat, and
Yep.
music kind of works the same way, whether
Hmm.
we like to admit it as fans and listeners and critics or not. That's pretty much the same thing that goes on.
Hmm.
Part of what makes this record so special to me, and you probably appreciate this as a teacher, Andrew.
Hmm.
Well, he gives you a what would you call this? A typical MLA format of like how to like structure a song and
One of the
explain
things that
like
struck me about both of these songs is they're structured the same way.
they are.
They are we'll talk about Johnny's in a minute, but like Kendrick's song, like the three verses are not the same, but they're structured the same. They start with the eyes, they go through I love this, love this, love this. So he's playing with the idea of love like KRS did in the Love's Gonna Get You. Like
Love's
he's
gonna get
playing
you.
with the idea of that the same way. Um and so yeah, they're all three. I mean, doing different things with them, obviously, but they're structured the same. And that structure, it's like writing a sonnet or whatever. Sometimes you when you're using a form to write a poem, a structure, that has very strict rules to it, um, you oftentimes end up saying more interesting things because you're the form of the poem, the verse in this case, is forcing you to say things a way that you would not ordinarily say them. You're having to like think of a way to make it both say what you want it to say and fit the form, and the and that pushes you past the place where you're just like doing stuff off the top of your head. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It does totally. I think what it does, this is one of the things that makes hip hop so beautiful is that sometimes structure can work flawlessly, and this is an example of
Hmm.
structure working flawlessly
Yep.
to create a hip hop record. But there are other records, with actually no structure or meter or to Brooklyn
Yep.
Zoo by Old Dirty Bastard.
Yeah.
You feel
It
me?
doesn't have to be that way, but I mean,
It
it's an
doesn't.
interesting
But
experiment.
but there is something to say about when you do this and execute. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Stylistic.
Dumb it down does that too, is in a very similar kind of way.
Yes, but see, this is okay. So dumb it down is more personal.
Yeah.
This is for everybody.
Right.
So because what he really does on this is that he keeps it. You and me talk simple, stupid works. Well,
Hmm.
really, this is really simple, stupid. I'm going to talk about what love and real is from the female perspective in the black
Hmm.
community. Of what I see from the sisters that I grew up with. I'm going to talk about it from the male perspective, from the brothers that I'm going to do up that I grew up with, and then I'm going to turn the mirror around and then I'm going to look at
Look at mine.
myself.
Yep.
And so it's really simple. It's some you, me, him, her. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And and he's not saying anything in the community for us because we know exactly what he's talking about. That's untrue. And this is what I mean is that sometimes it's just how you put it together. And he puts it together so subtly. And that's why love is so important on this record,
Hmm.
much like on
Yep.
Love's Gonna Get You.
Yep.
Remember, I was telling you, see how the love's different? Well,
Hmm.
we're talking about the love being different again.
Yep.
Listen to what he say. You love so much. You love when love hurts. You
I love
love
it so
red
much.
bottom. You love red bottom and gold that say queen. You love handbag on the waist of your jean. You
Hmm.
love French tip and trip that pay for. You love blank slip that tell you we paid more. You love a good hand whenever the card dealt. But what love got to do with it when you don't
Love
love
yourself.
yourself?
That's
That's some of the best writing you'll
yeah.
find.
It's beautiful, and he does it in all three fucking verses too.
He that's what I mean about execution. Well, it's not just that the song is dope. It's like no, he's delivering the goods. Like it's not just
Hmm.
well written, it's well executed. The wordplay is top notch. It's put together. His flow, his delivery, his cadence, his vocal tone is perfect for the beat and the meter and the measure of the record.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's a
and
flawless victory.
he's even winking at what's love got to do with it, like the song,
Yeah,
like the intro.
he's like, what's love?
He
He's like,
he does. I mean, obviously, he doesn't cite it directly, but he's kind of winking at that too. I mean, there's so
yeah.
many layers of things going on.
Listen, you love fast cars and dead presidents old. You love fast women. You love keeping control of everything that you love. You love beef. You love streets. You love running, ducking police. You
Hmm.
love your hood. Might even love it to death. But what
Shit.
love got to do with it when you don't love yourself? This is some of the best hip hop writing ever. Definitely as
It's
far as like
incredible.
I mean, yeah. I mean most of the masterfully written stuff that's like canonized in the last 10 years has been written by Kendrick and J. Cole and Nas, probably in my opinion,
Hmm.
in terms of that stuff that makes you go, well, damn,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? Like, damn. Well, this is 11 years old now, but you kind of get
I
what
don't
I'm
know. I
saying.
know what you mean.
With the house of,
And and that's what great literature, independent of hip hop or independent of music, period. What great literature does is it reveals new things every time you interact with it. There are layers to it, right? You, you're not just reading it, listening to it, and getting one level. You listen to it again, and there's another level, and you listen to it again, and there's another one, and another one, and another one, and it keeps the best art generally reveals more the more you interact with it, and that's what this is doing.
I never thought of it like that, but yeah. No, there's definitely some truth to that. No, I feel that.
And it's I love, and we've talked about this a million times on here too. It's becoming I'm becoming more and more convinced that having a hook you can sing along to is the single most important key to like crossover success in and this one, I mean, the I do what I want to do, I say what I want to say. That's a that he's kind of poking fun at what it means to be real, keeping it real, right? I mean, that's what that is. But then I told you I've been walking around singing I'm real, I'm really really like I can that's a thing that sticks, right? It sticks.
I love it.
And so
I
when
do
you
what I
pair
want.
that with the lyrical dexterity, it's something special.
It is. Look in the mirror and know I'm there
Hmm.
with my hands in the air. I'm proud to say, yeah. No, it's easy to get lost. It's
Hmm.
easy to get lost. That's why Andrew, you had heard the song before, but you had never listened to it. It's the
Yeah.
hook. He's not unlike any other great artist. Most of his most memorable songs are his most memorable hooks. This
Yep.
one, Money
Money
Trees,
trees. Yep.
Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah, all right.
Hmm.
These are his most memorable hooks. They're his most memorable songs. That's usually typically how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one of the things, I don't know if this works this way in hip hop world. I know it works this way in pop music world or whatever, is that at least for me, I listen to melody before I listen to lyrics. So if and the hook is usually repeated, it's usually simpler lyrically speaking, it's usually catchier, or should be catchier anyway. And like if that hooks you in, then then I go back and listen to it again and pay and start paying attention to all the other stuff going on. And that's why things cross over too, is because that hook is making people is you're just walking around singing or
I think
whatever,
I think
and then you go back and listen to the other stuff.
I think in hip hop, we're melody first too, but listen to what I'm about to say. But
Mhm.
before that, in my opinion, we're looking for what's next first. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Say
So
more.
before it's like I'll give you a prime example of like looking for what's next. Looking for what's next sonically,
Hmm.
lyrically. That's why Wu-Tang Clan is who they are, Andrew,
Okay.
because it was new sonically and lyrically. Like when Cream drops, like that beat that
Hmm. Yeah.
it's like, oh no, it's like I ain't heard nothing like that before. It's like, what the fuck is that? And then
Hmm.
you hear Method Man coming, cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar. It's like, oh, it's like I ain't heard that before. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? So part of the attraction in hip hop is the what's next. After we realize that it's next, then we get in the melody and like then lyrics typically.
Yeah.
And I think early on it actually worked more what's next, lyrics, and then melody. And I think that
Hmm.
kind of started switching. It's hard to say when that switched. I want to say mid 90s, but like early to mid 90s. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because it used to
The
be
Wu-Tang, I mean, for example, to use your example, the Wu-Tang songs that have crossed over are Cream, which is a hook that everybody can say. Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. Like that,
yeah.
like, those are not melodic necessarily, but they are ones that everybody
I,
can
I
say.
consider Cream to be melodic.
Okay.
You do? I mean, oh yeah, I would call cream melodic, but that's what I mean. And this is why hooks matter. I told you I can go up to a 50-year-old white guy right now anywhere in America, and I can go cash rules everything around me, and they'll go cream, get
Cream.
the
Yep.
money,
Dollar, dollar,
dollar
bill,
dollar bill,
y'all.
y'all. Right?
Yep.
Hooks matter.
Yep.
Voice matters. Hooks and voice matter.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of, that's probably a good place to cross over too, like
Good place to
because
transition. Yeah.
we have like hooks and voice and incredible lyrics too. Joni Mitchell is one of the things that I've learned. I respected Joni Mitchell before we started doing the show, not today, but like this Mirror Music show generally. I respected her. I knew she was a great musician, but the more that I've listened to and more I've actually dug into her music, like to say she is the preeminent lyricist of pop music is not too much of a stretch, I don't think. Like if she's not the best, she's certainly one of. Like she's at the very, very top level. I wouldn't have said that before we started doing this show until I started paying much closer attention.
Well, a couple things with that, because I mean that's cool. Because I kind of had a couple questions for you
Hmm.
kind of centered around that because you texted me behind the scenes and were like, for you, this is a top 10 record.
Hmm. Lyrically speaking, yeah.
So Tell me why. Tell me what you're hearing that made you feel that way because you don't often talk that way. And break down a little bit more briefly just where the separation in Joni lies from her lyrical competition because it's pretty much kind of like what you just said. It's kind of what I've been saying. You're kind of saying like I've been saying like Nas is the goat over here, and a lot of it is because we'll go listen to the songs and the
Mhm.
songwriting and the lyrics, and
Yep.
it's like we'll go listen. And so if you're saying Joni's like that, I'm saying like, well, where's the separation and why? Because the separation for me with Nas and Jay has always been the abstract,
Hmm.
as in the actual creative zone. I feel Nas is a step above creatively if we're just like duking it out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So what separates Joni from Paul Simon, McCartney,
Neil Young,
right,
um,
Kurt
and
Cobain,
Dylan. Yeah.
right,
Um,
Dylan?
like
Where's the separation?
this, I mean, her voice is a separation first. That's not what you asked, but her voice is a
Okay,
separation too. Like it's one
okay.
of those iconic voices, and there are very few people who have soprano voices like that who were pop music singers. But the use of metaphor, I guess, which is very similar to what you would say about Nas too. The use of metaphor, the way she is able to structure songs, and very much like Real, it is three verses that are structured the same. The first set's about clouds, the second one's about love, and the last one's about life. But she is like actually illustrating. The verses are in two parts. You have the first half and the second half. One's the positive side, one's the negative side, and um and then she admits she doesn't really understand. So she is able to write in a structure that's fairly simple and fairly straightforward. That's not dissimilar to a 5 paragraph essay that you would assign in like high school, but it's alive in a way that nobody else I know of can do. Like there's not many people that can write in a structure like this and pull it off. Um,
Okay. Yes.
and
Yes.
and
Very.
have it not come off being stupid sounding and
No, we
child.
are
It's
having.
it's not condescending. It's not childish. It's not patronizing to the listener. It is incredibly complex, but she's using a simple structure to do it.
We're having the same conversation, and it's
Yep.
very comparable to like
Yeah.
Nas when he does something like Rewind.
Yep.
It's like, oh, well, the structure and the setup is like simple. The execution is just
It's
otherworldly.
incredible, and it's incredibly difficult to do well. Like,
Well, nobody else has done it on this side. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So that would be
yeah,
kind of be the evidence of that. You know?
right. It's like any other like poetic form. What we were talking about that earlier. That like writing a sonnet is not hard. Like fitting words into that format is not hard. Doing it well is hard, right? And it's the same kind of thing.
I've tried to write sonnets
It
before.
is not an easy thing to do.
Not
I
easy.
mean, not to make it work on multiple levels and that kind of thing. Just
Well,
fitting words into the pattern, it's not that hard, but it actually making it do something and mean something is very hard.
making it conducive and coherent is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like when I mean conducive to somebody wanting to read
Yes,
it.
I understand. Yeah.
You know, at first when I first heard this record, and this is why I asked you, you know, the questions that I asked you is that it probably took me listening to this record about two or three times before I like really like the structure kind of like rung off in my head. And the
Hmm.
structure of this song actually
Yeah.
it, is what made me pick real.
Yep.
And then when I got to the words, I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay. I'm like, we're here. We're talking about the same things because it's like,
Hmm.
well, you know, how about this? If we were to swap the song title names,
Hmm. That
they
actually
would
would work,
still
wouldn't it?
it would still apply to both
Hmm.
sides. If Joni Mitchell's song was called Real and
Yeah.
Kendrick's song was called Both Sides Now,
Yeah.
it would
That would
still
work.
make
You're right.
it would still work. And
Mhm.
that's where these songs are almost like mirror images of each other, including
Mhm.
the high level writing and the structure being identical, as you
Mhm.
have kind of alluded to. I think the only difference is that um, Real has that extended player kind of sing that song, a song for you know what I mean? It
Mhm.
has that
Right.
structurally at the end, has in like a bridge at the
Like an
end of a
outro kind of deal. Yeah.
well, first of all, like rap songs, especially rap songs in 2012, that didn't have three verses with a full hook,
Mhm.
mom and dad on the record,
Talking
and
for
a
2 minutes.
full
Yep.
bridge and outro. So the record's just inherently different and brilliant in that manner as well. For me, this is what Joni Mitchell might do better than anybody else.
Mhm. Yeah.
She puts simple words that mean a lot in terms of the dexterity and the ambiguity of their meaning.
Mhm.
She puts those words together in song format maybe better than anybody ever.
Yeah. She's amazing. It's
It's
amazing.
it's almost a class in word usage if you're
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess the writer in me is just struck by words used,
Mhm.
metaphors used, and where the words are strategically placed. Like the
Yeah.
actual
Yeah.
strategic
There's
placement.
something also. Her use of metaphor is otherworldly. Like it's better than basically anybody else's. Um, but there's something almost hip hop about her internal rhymes and how like all the words interlock
It's
in the
very
verses too. Rows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere looked at clouds that
sounds like
way.
Rakim or Raekwon.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
That
so
sounds like
there's
Raekwon.
rhymes in the lines, there's other kinds of echoing sounds within the lines. It's just I mean, feather and even like metaphorically, feathers are up, canyons are down. Ice cream, you have castles up and down, angel, like all of those things are mirroring the up and
Look
down
here, this is
too.
what I mean. I had to listen to it because when I was listening to her wordplay, I'm like, man, she's rapping like Raekwon on
Hmm.
Daytona 500. It's like the bar work is stellar. Rows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air.
Hmm.
That's some rap shit.
Yeah. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel as every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way. Like
See
it's
over here, see over here goes peace to cats that rock back, knock knowledges, street astrologists, light up the god knowledges, fly joints like character points, Corolla, Mola, roller holder. Play
hmm
of God, you pack over the shoulder. It's the same thing though. It's
yep.
like, oh, it's like
Hmm.
the wordplay and the dizzying array of words being used are so vivid and so yeah.
And then it's one it's here's what it is, and this is one of the things that she does better than just about anybody too, is like if you ignored the message, which is multi-layered, if you ignore that message and just let the pretended her lyrics were an instrument, sort of, and like just listen to the sounds of them and how they fit together, that it sounds beautiful even if you're not paying attention to what she's saying. Just like
Dizzying
what you said,
dancing.
just like the verse that you just quoted too. Like that's like even if I'm not paying any attention to any of the words, just like listening to the percussive sounds in my ears, it's
Yeah,
really
the way they're
close.
yeah,
Yeah,
the way they're
exactly.
performing. This is what I mean. The dizzying dancing,
Hmm.
it's beautiful. Like as a right, the dizzying dancing.
Hmm.
It's like that's almost a title to a book within itself. You know what I mean? The
Yep.
dizzying dancing. Like that's top notch. Has every fairy tale comes real?
I've looked at
I've
love
looked
that
at love
way.
that way.
But then and then she does counterpoint and the next piece of the verse. Now it's just another show and you leave
Now,
them laughing when you go. And if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. Like that's the
that's both
counterpoint.
sides. It's
That's both
both
sides,
sides.
right? Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and she says, of course, in the chorus that they're illusions, right? That clouds and love and life are illusions. Not that they're not real, but they are ever changing. They're moving. They aren't the same from day to day. That kind of thing. And again, that's very similar to what Kendrick Lamar
So
is
think
saying.
about this. So think about this. Real by Kendrick is rooted in the reality of a kid growing up in Compton.
Hmm.
She, and this is what I mean about Joni's brilliance as a writer. This too, Andrew, is almost like her poking fun in satire format at love with
Hmm.
all the fairy tale and
Yeah.
all the childlike verbiage that's being used, like rainbow,
Hmm.
ice cream castle. She's pretty much
Yeah.
saying, like, you want to know what love is for kids. Like, you need to be naive and be a sucker to believe in love. Like that's the overall that's that's the tone in the
Mm-hmm.
satire of the writing if you were just to like to pull back and look at it as a written piece and not as a musical piece.
Right.
Think about it. The circus, childlike,
Mm-hmm.
rainbow,
Yep,
ice
exactly.
cream cat. These are all childlike things. She's pretty much saying when you're in love, you behave like a child. You're naive and foolish.
And there, the big picture is looking at life from both sides, not just, I mean, she talks about
Pretty
let's
much
see,
now
what
that
is
I've
it
been
exactly?
burned.
Win and lose and still somehow, right? Like from doing well and doing badly. But she's also, the whole thing frames as like an older and younger thing, right? Like life from both sides is as a child. I've looked at life as a child and looked at it as an adult, right? It's genius. It's just beautiful. There's not, I don't know of anybody else that can do that.
And it reads like a great book ending with the I
Hmm.
really don't know life. I really don't know life at all. It's
Despite the
almost
fact
like
that
the
I'm older now, I still don't really understand.
like you want to know like it's almost like she did all that to be like, and you want to know what? I still don't have no real clear cut answers for you. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Thanks
I,
for
I'm
listening
just
to the
I'm
record
just
though.
I'm just explaining my experience, right?
Right.
Another one of those perfect comparisons too is that, I mean, this song was written by somebody who, grew up in rural Canada, but it works for everybody in any situation, much like the Chicago, LA, like the fact that he comes from there makes his song make more sense in context, but also it is explaining the experiences. And these are experiences that everybody have too. Like you're looking up at the clouds, you're like pretending like it looks like a
See,
feather.
okay.
It looks like this, right?
Well, that's her youth. See, but towards the end, I mean, she briefly kind of touches on how her fame has affected her ability to love when she goes talks about tears and fears and feeling proud to say I
I
love
love
you
you
right
right
out
out loud.
loud.
Yeah.
Dreams and schemes and circus crowds. I've looked at life that way, meaning like this is what life is now. It's all these people always
Hmm.
around me and wanting something. And because of who I am, I can't find a man to put his pride or ego aside and say that he loves me.
Right.
See, but now old friends, they're acting strange and shake their heads and tell me that I've
Change.
changed.
Yeah.
So now she's talking about how fame is affecting the love that she has with her relationships and friendships.
Hmm.
So a
Yeah.
lot of people are missing that it's like, well, she's like, well, the fairy tale is becoming kind of hellish as I'm growing up
Yeah.
because it's actually separating me more from people. And now people who I love are too proud to say that they love me back. And now people are looking at me like I'm the one that's changed because I've got the fame and I've got the money. Like I'm
Hmm.
Joni now, you
Yeah.
know. Her writing has a certain level of humility, but Andrew, she knows who the fuck she is.
Oh
She's
shit.
like,
Yes.
I'm Joni Mitchell.
Hmm.
I'm
She's well aware. Well aware.
I'm the bar. You
Yes.
know what I'm
She is
saying?
the bar. She is the
Yeah,
bar. She
yeah.
is.
I'm the bar. And because I'm the bar, I'm alone.
Yeah. Which is, yeah, there's darker sides to both sides, right? There's darker sides to that too.
Yeah, yeah.
This is going to cut off in like 10 seconds. That's perfect, I think.
Oh, I think that's flawless victory.